The Fool. Although it sounds like a negative connotation, there's a much deeper meaning to it that we can all aspire to and learn from. As a matter of fact, the Fool is a psychological archetype found within all of us. And if it's unchecked, it could negatively affect our lives. It could be negatively affecting your life right now for reasons that we will explore in this video. Or if you have it in check, it could bring you joy and wisdom. We all know the hero, the valiant figure who overcomes challenges, slays the dragon, and saves the day. But what about the fool? The one who stumbles into the journey, often underestimated, sometimes mocked, yet holds a power few truly understand. The fool is the risk taker, the dreamer, the truth seeker disguised in folly. Today, we're diving deep into the archetype of the fool, its role in myths, stories, and even our own lives. By the end of this video, you'll understand the fool's unique journey, its incredible advantages, its challenges, and why embracing the fool within might just lead to wisdom and transformation. So Carl Jung's model of the psyche is divided into three main parts: the conscious mind, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. The conscious mind is where our ego lives. The ego is the center of our conscious awareness, responsible for our sense of identity and our interactions with the outside world. It filters out perceptions, helping us navigate daily life by focusing on what we are aware of at any given moment. The personal unconscious, on the other hand, is where we store forgotten memories, suppressed thoughts, and feelings. Things we are not actively aware of, but can recall or bring to mind when needed. This is also where the shadow resides. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we reject or deny, often because they don't align with our self-image or society's expectations. However, understanding and integrating the shadow is essential for personal growth because it holds hidden strengths and insights, and being aware of it can also prevent you from committing the same mistakes over and over again. Lastly, the collective unconscious goes beyond the individual. It is a shared part of the human psyche containing archetypes, universal primal symbols and patterns of behavior that are common across cultures. This is something we all have in common as humans and are born with. It's in the collective unconscious where we find the 12 archetypes. These are patterns of behavior that resonate deeply within all of us. As we see in countless movies, books, myths, the fool's journey represents the universal desire for taking risks, dreaming, finding truth, and spreading joy. And while the fool's journey is inspiring, it also has its shadow side, which we'll explore. Let's go over what this fool archetype even is. The fool archetype existed across cultures for centuries, from court jesters to mythological tricksters. In Jungian psychology, the fool represents a willingness to take risks and confront the unknown, often leading to growth through failure and experience. Unlike the hero who plans and strives for victory, the fool leaps first and then figures things out along the way. This archetype is embodied in many of our favorite characters. Think of Forrest Gump, whose simplicity allowed him to live a profound life, or Jack Sparrow, whose chaotic brilliance made him unpredictable and unstoppable, or Monkey D. Luffy, the dreamer whose chaotic nature inspires, helps, and liberates people. These characters remind us that the fool often possesses wisdom hidden beneath a facade of naivety or absurdity. In tarot, the fool, when upright, represents innocence, new beginnings, and free spirit, symbolizing a student open to learning new information with a playful and youthful mindset. When the fool is reversed, it means what you think about a fool in everyday language: recklessness, taken advantage of, and inconsiderate. Like every archetype, the fool has a shadow side, and it often manifests as the hater. While the fool embraces risk and growth, the hater resists, mocking and criticizing others from a place of insecurity. The hater fears vulnerability and deflects their own shortcomings by tearing others down. In real life, we see this in people who take themselves too seriously. Because of their insecurities and repression of looking like a fool, these people act as though they are too good or too mature for certain activities or mindsets. These people are often workaholics, obsessed with the expectations of a capitalist society. We could also see this in people who constantly mock others. Think of a disgruntled comedian whose jokes are all about making fun of people they don't understand or people who they are envious of. In pop culture, think about characters like Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants. His constant disdain for SpongeBob's joyful, foolish nature stems from his own dissatisfaction and failure to embrace his creative side. Psychologically, Carl Jung teaches us that the shadow represents the part of ourselves we suppress. For the fool, The hater emerges when they reject their innate capacity for growth and instead use humor or criticism to belittle others. Understanding this shadow reminds us that if we find ourselves scoffing at someone, taking risks, or pursuing a dream, it may reflect an unresolved fear within us, a fear of stepping into our own fool's journey. There are 4 major advantages of the fool archetype that, if applied in your life, can help you succeed and find more knowledge and happiness. I will bring up some examples from pop culture to help drive home the message. The first advantage is, number 1, courage to take risks. One of the fool's greatest strengths is their courage. While others hesitate, the fool leaps. They embrace the unknown, often becoming pioneers in their own right. Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit embodies this perfectly. Despite being a timid hobbit, he takes a leap of faith, leaving the comfort of the Shire to embark on a journey that transforms him into a hero. The Fool teaches us that growth begins where comfort ends. This means that you need to become comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. If you don't take risks in life, you miss out on opportunities that can give you growth and transformation. Failure is not the enemy, and the Fool reminds us of this. Failure is a stepping stone. Whether you want to start a business, a YouTube channel, a new career, allow yourself to be daring enough to step into the unknown, embrace discomfort, and trust that the journey, no matter how uncertain, is worth it. Number 2 is fresh perspective. The Fool sees the world differently, challenging conventional thinking. Forrest Gump's simple, honest approach to life provides profound insights, even if he doesn't realize it himself. His unique perspective reminds us that sometimes seeing the world with fresh eyes reveals truths that others overlook. This teaches us that embracing the mindset of the Fool, being open, curious, and willing to question can lead to profound growth. As George Leonard explains in his book Mastery, the key to success of long-term fulfillment, adopting the perspective of a student, a willingness to always learn and never assume you know it all, is the key to mastery for anything. Whether you want to learn a new sport, learn a new language, learn a new subject in school, learn something new that will help you in your career, you have to embrace that student or fool mentality to allow new information to come in. This is a willingness to always learn and never assume you know it all. This is the key to mastery. The moment that you believe that you figured everything out, that's when you stop growing. The Fool reminds us that learning never ends. And by staying open to new experiences and ideas, you can find wisdom where others only see simplicity. Number 3, adaptability. Chaos doesn't frighten the Fool. In fact, they thrive in it. Take Jack Sparrow, for example. His seemingly reckless antics always lead him to success because he can adapt to any situation. Similarly, Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece embodies this adaptability. With his carefree attitude and unshakable optimism, he often turns dire situations into opportunities for growth and victory. Not to mention that this behavior is inspiring to other people, and it often leads to the liberation of villages from oppressors. The Fool shows us that life is unpredictable, and those who can adapt will often find opportunities where others see only obstacles. You have probably come across situations in which life felt a bit too chaotic, moments where nothing seemed to go as planned. In those moments, you probably feel overwhelmed or stuck. But the Fool teaches us that chaos is not the enemy. In fact, chaos is an opportunity. When you embrace uncertainty with an open mind and with willingness to adapt, you can turn challenges into stepping stones for growth. Any major change that has happened in your life in the past, you've been able to adapt to it. Think about it, it's already happened to you in your life before. So don't be afraid of the unexpected changes that are yet to come. Life will always throw curveballs, but instead of resisting the unexpected, try asking yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience? Like Jack Sparrow and Luffy, you too can navigate the chaos with creativity and resilience, finding unexpected treasures along the way. Finally, at number 4, we have unconventional wisdom. The Fool's wisdom often comes from unexpected places. Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter is a perfect example of this. Her quirky nature and unshakable belief in the impossible provide valuable lessons to her friends. The Fool reminds us that true wisdom often comes from being open to ideas that others dismiss. Think about a time in your life when somebody dismissed an idea that you had as being too out there or unrealistic. Maybe you've dismissed your own thoughts for being unconventional. The Fool shows us that those ideas contain seeds for innovation. To embrace the Fool's wisdom, try looking at situations from a completely fresh perspective. Question assumptions, explore the improbable, and be unafraid of thinking differently. You might be surprised by the insight that follows. The Fool archetype also has its disadvantages, which you have to be consciously aware of to prevent yourself from making certain mistakes. Let's start with number one. The first disadvantage is naivety. The same openness that makes the fool brave can also make them vulnerable. Pinocchio's journey illustrates this so well. His trust in others leads him into dangerous situations, showing how naivety can leave the fool open to manipulation. Openness is a gift, but it's important to balance it out with discernment. Reflect on your own life. Are there times when your trust in others led to unexpected consequences? The Fool teaches us to embrace life with curiosity, but also to cultivate wisdom to recognize when something or someone might not have your best interest at heart. Ask questions, trust your instinct, and learn to distinguish between genuine opportunities and potential pitfalls. Doing this can prevent yourself from falling for propaganda or falling into being manipulated into a cult. Number two is recklessness. The fool's spontaneity can sometimes lead to disaster. Homer Simpson is a classic example. His impulsiveness often creates chaos for his family, showing us that while risk-taking is essential, it's important to temper it with thoughtfulness. Have you ever made a decision in the heat of the moment only later to regret it? While taking risks is essential for growth, the fool reminds us that there's a fine line between bravery and recklessness. So before leaping into action, take a moment to weigh the potential outcomes. By balancing spontaneity with mindfulness, you can ensure your bold moves lead to progress rather than setbacks. The third disadvantage is alienation. The fool's unconventional ways can make them outsiders. Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame is alienated because of his appearance and unique perspective. While the fool's path can be enlightening, it's often a lonely one and can lead to you being an outcast or a pariah. Think about a time in which your uniqueness made you feel like you didn't belong. The Fool teaches us that being different can be a strength, but it's also a path that requires resilience. But you have to remember that you don't have to conform. So instead of conforming to fit in, embrace your individuality and seek out people who value your perspective. True belonging doesn't come from blending in. Where it does come from is from finding people who appreciate you for who you truly are. Finally, at number 4, we have unpredictability. The fool's erratic nature can make it hard for others to trust them. The Joker from The Dark Knight represents the destructive side of this archetype. His unpredictability becomes a tool for chaos, reminding us that unchecked foolishness can lead to harm of others. That would be a more extreme case, but consider how your actions can influence the trust that others place in you. Are there moments when impulsiveness or inconsistency might have affected your relationships? The Fool reminds us to be adaptable but also dependable. While it is great to embrace spontaneity, building trust requires showing others they can count on you. So by striking that balance, you can navigate life with both flexibility and reliability. Like the hero, the fool also embarks on a journey, but their path is less about defeating external enemies and more about self-discovery. The fool begins with the courage to step into the unknown, symbolized by the Fool card in the tarot, a figure standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap. The Fool's journey teaches us that mistakes are not failures but opportunities to grow. Each misstep, each stumble leads to wisdom and resilience. Unlike the hero who seeks glory, the Fool seeks truth, even if they have to look foolish along the way. And in the end, the Fool often transforms into a sage, which is another archetype, embodying the wisdom gained through their trials. So that's why it's important to balance out all these different archetypes as well, which we will explore in future videos. The Fool archetype reminds us of the power of vulnerability, curiosity, and courage. While the hero may save the world, the Fool teaches us how to live authentically, embracing both the risks and rewards of the unknown. So as you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, when was the last time you let yourself be the fool? When did you take a leap of faith? embrace a fresh perspective, or allow yourself to make mistakes. Because in a world obsessed with perfection, maybe we could all use a little more of the Fool's wisdom. However, as you go along in your life's journey, it's important to also integrate other archetypes. For example, the hero archetype will help you overcome obstacles and have the determination to see it through to the end of your journey. To understand this archetype more, watch this video right here. And make sure you subscribe to watch more videos about psychology and spirituality like this.